Heroes are people the common masses look up to, as they are the pinnacle of human dreams. It does not matter whether history considers them to be good or evil, as these are the traits that make them human. This video series' purpose is to look into the way the Fate franchise handles these legends based on their profile in Fate, Grand Order and other Typemoon resources. This time in the class of Berserker, Florence Nightingale.
私は人の命を救うものです。看護と治療と衛生管理が私の役目。あなたの役目は何です？
An upper-class English woman born into the early 19th century, who would eventually become the founder of modern nursing and the probably most celebrated icon of the Crimean War. Named after her place of birth in Italy, she would undertake several journeys all across Europe, resulting in a plethora of unique experiences, eventually shaping a most interesting personality. Her particular friendship to the feminist writer Mary Clark in Paris, who would usually prefer the company of male intellectuals, was one specifically fostering high aspirations in the young lady. Florence's extensive academic interest in religion and mysticism, which the public became aware of mostly due to writings of her published post-mortem, was an important factor on her very own journey as well. Several times did she perceive to have been called by God for a higher purpose, serving others. All of this was made possible by a generous annual allowance of her father and her refusal to the many men courting her to avoid being chained down by a marriage that could have prevented her from following her perceived calling. As manager of nurses during the Crimean War, which was fought from 1853 to 1856 between Russia and the Ottoman Empire, the latter being heavily supported by France and the British Empire, Nightingale saw poor conditions in the hospitals take the lives of so many men that the number rivaled those fallen in the ferocious battles. Upon working hard to improve the general care for these men, she was able to sharply reduce the death rate, saving many lives in the process. Her nightly visits to wounded soldiers in pain gave birth to the legend of a lady with a lamp. Since her Grand Order incarnation clearly depicts her in the time of sad war, we shall disregard her later life for this analysis. Her tenacity of never becoming disheartened in the face of a rotting hell, taking away lives left and right, saving as many as she could as an angel descended from the high heavens, is explained with an EX-MAT enhancement skill, which would leave her to only talk to herself on her holy mission. In fact, the real Florence often referred to herself as a man, much like Artoria does in the Fate universe.
そうとも、なぜいぶかる、なぜ笑う。剣を預かり、神明を捧げた故国が滅んだのだ。それを悼むのがどうしておかしい。
And would peerlessly speak to higher ups as if on even ground. A woman following her divine mission with a dedication bordering on madness, justifying her role as a berserker. Her height and weight, as given in her profile, appear rather fitting, as she was often described as a tall and slender woman. The alignment as lawful good goes without saying for a lifesaver in the name of God. Being ranked as a tier 5 servant can obviously be subject of discussion though. Many historians argue that her role during the Crimean War was actually artificially enhanced, since that conflict marked a victory less glorious than many of the participating powers had hoped, thus making the act of turning Florence into the one big hero for the public that became fascinated with that one female hero in the age of Queen Victoria a great chance of propaganda. One could say that a combination of this strongly fostered legend of a lady with a lamp, combined with the innumerable lives she has saved in the long term with her nursing reforms, does indeed justify such a power level, but overall 5 stars do appear to be too high for a person like her. Her strength of B+ rank seems rather high, as her historical personality was described by Lucien Baudin as a frail young woman. though one cannot disregard the true strength unlocked in even the most fragile body once intoxicated by madness and tenacity. Her A+ ranked endurance goes without saying, as she seems rather tireless, both mentally and physically, on her mission, and has witnessed horrors that left many others over the long course of history broken for good. Agility with a rating of B+ may as well be the result of her slender physique, combined with her mad enhancements, taking her potential nimbleness to its very limit. On the other hand, even for berserkers, such a skill should not rank higher than C, one might argue. That mana stat of D+ seems perfectly adequate, as her interest in mysticism would have surely had her discover some basic magus knowledge in the Fate universe. An A+ rank in luck, making her the bane of Lancers, can only be explained by being under divine protection, and the relatively comfortable life she was able to lead thanks to being born into a well-off family that allowed her to pursue her dreams instead of forcing their own ideals onto her too strongly. As mentioned before, her only passive skill is that of Mad Enhancement EX, granting her quite the physical prowess, at the cost of her ability to even listen to others, much unlike her former life, as even Grand Order admits here. Her active skills are: Rank A, Nurse of Steel, the ability to heal an ally, which is the least one would expect of a mother of modern nursing. Rank A, Human Comprehension, which increases her own attack and defense against other humans. With her knowledge of the human body that she has gained through her profession, this seems absolutely plausible and was to be expected as well. And finally, EX ranked Angel's Cry, which further buffs an ally's attacks. At best, this would be explicable by the motivational value this apparent angel named Florence must have had for the soldiers, or actual divine empowerment, which would always be of the EX rank, though the former seems to be more reasonable considering the lack of evidence for the latter. But what noble phantasm could such a heroic spirit possess?
すべての毒あるもの、害あるものを断ち、我が力の限り、人々の幸福を導かん。Nightingale Pledge!
It is ranked D, but upgradable to C in Grand Order. The Nightingale Pledge. A famous pledge for nurses named after Florence, practiced to this very day. Its effect is the weakening of hostile noble phantasms, at the highest level even completely nullifying them, combined with a thorough debuff removal and healing of Florence's allies. This also seems completely acceptable based on her legacy. Due to the fact that it was originally just a modified version of the Hippocratic Oath, and since nurses, without us ever intending to disrespect the very important and admirable work these men and women do every day, are not on the same level as an actual medical practitioner, the rather low rank does seem plausible in that matter. The world is put back by the death of everyone who has to sacrifice the development of his or her peculiar gifts to conventionality. The beautiful creed of Florence Nightingale, to save others so they may save the world. Does her representation in Fate Grand Order live up to that woman? Clearly, her design is that of a warrior here who ravages the battlefield as a one-woman army, which the real Florence obviously never did. While her deeds have clearly empowered the position of many women back in the day, the real Nightingale had little sympathies for her gender peers, and despite maintaining a feminine grace, she saw herself fulfilling the role of a man, so no one could argue that this outfit blend of male uniform and female fashion, although such short skirts were obviously unthinkable in her day, does make some sense, even if it ultimately does not represent the real person at all. It still is acceptable if you look at it using the Typemoon universe logic. The rumor of a lady with a lamp would have surely spread fast among the soldiers, and the image gained would have differed from her actual appearance. While her background remained mostly the same, small but understandable alterations had been made here and there to make her appear more ferocious, which is within the boundaries of acceptable interpretations of a historical figure, in our opinion. As explained previously, all of her skills do make very much sense and should definitely look like that when porting the tale of Lady with a Lamp into the Fate universe. While her class of Berserker and State of Madness are somewhat explicable, with the things she had witnessed and her basically being the war hero of the Crimean conflict, I cannot help but think that the class of caster would have been more suitable for a woman believing to do the work of God and being perceived as an angel while performing the miracle of saving lives. Furthermore, her power level is ultimately a topic of controversy, as it is explicable as it is attackable depending on whether one likes or dislikes this portrayal of her. Ultimately, in comparison to other heroes, it should be decidedly lower. Seeing how they rarely rank anything or anyone at tier 1 or 2 anymore, I'd suggest tier 3 in this instance. Thus, the overall score we give this character is a C rank for rather individual interpretation of a character that ultimately makes sense when observed within its own logic, but had arguably better alternatives.
Finally, the new Fate video is here. I'm really sorry about the big delay, but real life issues have bothered me quite a bit. If you like this video, as usually, leave a comment in the comment section below. You're also allowed to criticize us or the character. As usual, leave a like if you appreciate this video. You can also visit my Facebook profile or follow me on Twitter. Also, like every other That Video Whore, I now have a Patreon. Links are down below. And if you want videos more frequently, so I don't have to work while studying, maybe leave some salt. Now excuse me, I have to get back to Fate Grand Order, since this goddamn Umo bitch won't go down. God damn it! Like this video if you like this. Like the video if you like.